Kim Jong Un threatening to cancel next month's summit with President Trump. He wants America to stop those military drills over there. Joining us now, former Trump campaign Deputy Director David Bossie. All right, David, they gave us back 3 prisoners. Should we cancel the exercise as a sign of goodwill? Should we?
Well, first of all, these are long-time planned drills. These were, in my opinion, minor drills that I didn't think would rise to the level of being an issue. And they were canceled, by the way, when the Olympics came up, and I think they're just getting back underway. So I think this is something that the president and the South Koreans can discuss when they get together in a couple of weeks. And I think that this is all a goodwill gesture. I think what Kim Jong Un has done, I think it's put him in the proper perspective. But this president has really wanted the American people and the world to understand that he has priorities, and he has been very clear from the beginning. If these meetings are going to be fruitful, he's going to show up and he's going to participate. If they're not, he's not. So I think that this is part of the feeling out period before the meeting.
Okay, but it's not a big deal, right? I mean, it's not a real interruption in the summitary process. Not at all? No?
I don't believe one iota that this makes a difference in that planned summit, and I think that will happen. And I think the president's going there hopeful that this leader of North Korea is going to come with the same spirit and open-mindedness that the president is, and wants to have his country come away better off, a more secure nation, sure, and a healthier nation with an economic future, an education future for its citizens, for health care for its citizens. Those are the things that are on the table for the North Koreans.
Oh, well, he's in a box. Kim Jong Un is in a box. I mean, look, you denuclearize and we'll make you rich. If he turns down that deal, he's condemning North Korea to penury forever. I mean, that's a difficult thing.
As his family has for generations, right? So we have to understand who we're dealing with. This president does, and he has been very clear on the mission, the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in its entirety. And I think that that's, as a goal, a very worthy thing for us to support this president going forward. And I hope that on June 12th, we're going to have some results.
Okay. Now, President Trump met with the Republican senators yesterday. I believe he pressed them. He said, look, change the rules of the Senate. Either get rid of the filibuster or get rid of the 30 hours worth of debate on nominees, but just change the rules so we can get moving here. Now, look, I fully support that, but he's meeting a lot of resistance from the Senate.
This is part of why President Trump got elected to begin with. And these senators, this process is part of what has broken Washington and has not made it move to fix the problems of the American people. And it's the reason that there's so much anxiety out there, that they don't see Washington working as hard as they do to pay the taxes so that Washington continue its irresponsible spending. So I just put forth that this president has reached a breaking point, in my opinion. This meeting yesterday was a long time coming. I think he's given them enough leeway to get some things accomplished, and he's rightly frustrated. And Mitch McConnell and the Senate leadership has to hear that and really understand that 6 months from now, Washington is going to get paid back in elections. And either the Republicans are going to keep the House and add to the Senate, or we're not. Because if we don't do things differently than the Democrats did, if we don't do things that we promised, this president has made promises and kept them. But one of these is to break the gridlock of Washington, and that's where he is today.
Got it. David Bossie, as always, thank you, sir. We'll see you again soon.